All right, welcome back to another episode of Life Between the Sticks. Per usual, host Brandon, joined by the man himself, Cody Cropper. The group stage of the 2022 FIFA World Cup has finally come to a close.
It has.
Some big names have dropped out. They are no mas. Some small names have squeaked in, and we have a round of 16 bracket. So I figure we can just run through Group A through Group H, or H, as our friends across the pond say.
Yeah, sure. H. Why not?
Yeah. And we'll just run and see kind of how it went. So, a lot was talked about outside of the games, but at the end of the day, like, the games are finally done. The group stage is over. Obviously, the next phase of this tournament is on. Any kind of like things that stood out? We've talked about referees, the pitches, extra time. Is this a classic World Cup, or has there been some weird things about it?
I think there's been some weird tidbits to it. Obviously, like you mentioned, the referees, the fields, just the politics of it all leading into this World Cup, I think is something we've never seen before. So, from my perspective, it's a little bit different. You can throw even in the timing of the World Cup being in the winter. So, from my perspective, it's different. It's unexpected. It's kept everybody on their toes, and now we look to the round of 16.
That's right. So Group A, obviously that is the group with the host nation. So Qatar was in it only on paper. Netherlands winning that group with 7 points. Senegal in second with 6 points. Ecuador in third with 4 points. And Qatar in fourth with 0 points. I mean, Ecuador is really going to come down to Ecuador and Senegal battling this one out, obviously.
Absolutely.
I think you'd expect Netherlands to get through. They did. And it just came down to literally the head-to-head. Senegal beat Ecuador. Talked about it. Great game.
Yeah, it was a fantastic game, and like you said, it was only a matter of which one of those two teams won in their head-to-head, and I don't really think Qatar stood much of a chance. They got the bid they got into the World Cup because they had the bid of hosting the World Cup, and unfortunately I think everybody assumed that they would not advance.
And rightly so. Group B was England, USA, Iran, and Wales. A lot of this one, it was funny because you had obviously the USA and England, we have history as countries.
Yes.
You have England and Wales who have history as countries. And you have US, Iran, which have history as countries. So this was very much a football and politically connected group. England winning in first with 7 points. The US advanced in second with 5 points. Iran in third with 3 points. And Wales in fourth with 1 point. Obviously, you had Wales advancing out of this group. This one, a bit of a surprise for you, I think.
Yeah. Not only a surprise, but not only a negative surprise in terms of how bad Wales was, but also a positive surprise in how good the U.S. was. I did not expect the U.S. to be as good as they were not only with specific choices of player personnel that they brought or did not bring to the World Cup, but in terms of their play. I think that they've been surprisingly good, and in my opinion, that's great because as a growing soccer nation, we kind of need this. We needed to advance to the round of 16, and I think Saturday is going to be a tough game versus the Dutch, but if they come out and perform as they did versus England or as they did versus Iran, I think that things are in their favor.
Knockout round, 90 minutes plus potentially extra time. You never know what's going to happen.
That's
that
true.
Game will be happening on Saturday. It might have already happened by the time you listen to this or watch this. So we'll see. I think some people that have talked about it feel pretty confident. The U.S. definitely have a chance against this Dutch team.
Absolutely.
We'll have to see. They have someone who's in the running for the Golden Boot as it stands, which, I mean, we'll touch on that a little bit later. So it's definitely not going to be a walk in the park by any means. Group C had Argentina, Mexico, Saudi Arabia, and Poland.
What a group.
Talk about the one you weren't ready for. Argentina losing the first game to Saudi Arabia. Then they came back, ran the table. So they advanced in first with 6 points. Poland got second on 4 points, Mexico third on 4 points, and Saudi Arabia fourth with the 3 points they got from Argentina. Now, we were all educated on every single tiebreaker in the world because at one point, Poland and Mexico were tied across the board. It was going to come down to fair play, which is a nonsensical way to determine a tiebreaker, which is the number of yellow cards. If you got past that one, it was literally drawing names.
Is that what it was?
I'm pretty sure.
I would never have assumed that.
We're the World Cup,
and this is where we're at. This is the tiebreak.
Yeah.
Once you get past fair play, it's okay. Yeah, we're gonna draw a name out of a hat.
I just, I know they're in different cities.
I did not know that.
You just gotta do a penalty shootout just to the death.
That would have been a good entertainment for sure. I think that would have drawn quite a viewership.
Without a doubt.
Absolutely.
But either way, Mexico choked at the end, gave up a goal in stoppage time, so they ended up going out on goal difference. Poland with a big 0 for goal difference, and Mexico with a -1. So Argentina, while everybody was worried about them after the first game, by the way, Saudi Arabia looked good in that game. Argentina definitely looked slow. They have picked up and now look back to being Argentina as they head to the knockout stage.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that they are the Argentina that I expected going into the World Cup. However, they have picked up pace. They are moving the ball better. Di Maria down the right looks like a threat every time he gets the ball. I think that they do still have a few things to figure out, but I think depending on the matchup, they will get into the next round.
You mean after the quarterfinal, after the round 16, they'll make it through the first match?
Well, I think they'll make it through this round of 16, and then it will be, who do they play?
Yeah. Well, we'll definitely be able to project a little bit on that. Group D was Denmark, Australia, Tunisia, and France, which I think, Denmark was very much considered a dark horse. The only thing that was dark about them was their performances. They were a no-show. France won the group.
Yeah.
Not as easy as you would have expected them to, but look, they lost Benzema right before the tournament. They had injuries, I believe, during the tournament.
Yes.
It was,
I believe,
It was Lucas Hernandez, the PSG left back. He tore his ACL within 15 minutes of the World Cup starting.
Right.
So anyways, they had their issues, got through it. 6 points in first place. Australia second place with 6 points as well, which is the most that country has ever gotten in the group stage.
Fantastic.
And this is post Viduka, Schwarzer, Tim Cahill, kind
Incredible.
of those old school names.
And if you watch their games, they deserved every victory that they got. They deserved every point that they got. They outplayed certain teams. They performed well in the right moments, and they scored goals when they needed them most. And I believe they won 1-0 in both of their games, correct?
If you give me a second. I mean, their goal difference wasn't amazing by any means.
No, but either way, the players that scored are ones that were, not names that you would have expected to carry the team and get those goals in the moments that they did. And I think that speaks volumes to the depth, to the camaraderie that Australia had.
So Australia scored 1 goal in every single game. They lost to France 4-1.
Okay.
And then they beat Tunisia and Denmark each 1-0.
1-0.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I wonder how many other teams scored in every single round, which would be interesting.
That would be an interesting statistic to find out. Yeah.
So they advanced with a -1 goal difference, but they won.
They advanced.
Yeah, they won their
2 games.
other games. They just got pummeled by France, which you can accept.
Yes.
Denmark, they were supposed to come in. You had, Christensen, the center back with Barcelona. Obviously, Eriksen, who is at Manchester United. And they're a talented young group with a good mix, but they just nothing clicked for them whatsoever.
No.
1 point. They drew Tunisia, and they had a -2 goal difference. I mean, what's his name in goal?
Kasper Schmeichel.
Yes.
Looking at it, you think another Belgium in terms of a dark horse coming into the World Cup. Can they? How deep of a run are they going to to go on. Unfortunately, neither Belgium nor Denmark could really put it together, and I don't know if that speaks to toxicity internally, if it has to do with player personnel on the field, if it has to do with manager choices. It's very tough as a player on a team like that to kind of get out of that little dip, and you've seen the impact that it can have on national teams because they don't play together year round, but you expect teams with players of that caliber to be able to figure it out. And another one is Germany. And even Argentina to a point was very much in that same boat. When they get beat by Saudi Arabia, everybody's going, well, this isn't what we expected. Where's Messi? Where's Christian Eriksen? Mm-hmm. It's I guess the teams that we grew up watching, the Germanys, the Argentinas, that golden generation for all these countries is now coming to an end, and it's going to be who's next.
Without a doubt. The Danish FA is going to have to figure out what they're going to do because that was a poor showing for them.
Agreed.
You mentioned Germany, Group E. You had Germany, Costa Rica, Japan, and Spain in that one. Again, everyone expecting Spain and Germany to walk through, and I sent you a funny text I'll read here in a second. But Japan winners of this group.
Fantastic.
With 6 points. Spain in second after beating Costa Rica 7-1, 7-0, whatever it was in the opening game. They went through on 4 points. They did not win another game after that. Yep. Germany in third on 4 points as well, losing out massively on goal difference. So it turns out that Costa Rica game for Spain was of utmost importance. Then Costa Rica got battered. They saw 3 points. This just goes to show you, right? Like 6 points, 4 points, 4 points, 3 points. This group had every different variation on the last day.
It did.
At one point, Japan and Costa Rica were going through Spain and Germany. And that's when I texted you. I said, this is a different, this is a different like parallel universe that I would love to see happen.
Absolutely. And it was funny. I saw actually an Instagram post later that evening, and there were 7 different changes of who was going to advance throughout the 90 minutes, which is incredible. I mean, at least I can never remember a time in 4 or 5 World Cups that I've been alive for, that I've watched, with that happening. That is statistically, I'm sure, very small.
The amount of fight, Germany, they had a bad start to that game.
Yes, they did.
But they ended up they did wipe the fourth Costa Rica. It's just bad goals they gave up. It's very non-German-esque goals they gave up of not being able to clear a ball, letting the ball land in the box multiple times. Yep. And they just weren't able to handle it. It wasn't a Germany, right? Tightly functioning machine. That was not them. But they did win like XG, most chances created, shots on target.
Absolutely.
So there's also a lot of just bad luck for them this tournament too. So I'll be interested to hear, obviously Jurgi Loa in this one, new manager, Nagelsmann, I believe. I can't remember. He came from Bundesliga, but do they stick or twist after this tournament? Because the Germans are never going to accept as a country not advancing out of the group stages.
No, and this is the second World Cup in a row that they've not advanced from the group stage. So we'll see what they do. Stick or twist.
They have to do something. Group F, you had Belgium, Croatia, Canada, Morocco. One of the teams that you expected to advance did. The other one did not. Morocco on top in this group. 7 points. Croatia second on 5 points. Belgium in third on 4 points. And Canada collecting their participation medal with 0 points.
Yeah.
But they were close on many occasions.
They
Obviously, we talked about the Belgium match.
Yes. In all honesty, I expected more from the Canadian national team. I think that it was just the occasion was just too much for them. I think maybe the pressure got to them here, the pressure got to them there. Chances didn't go their way. Maybe their heads dropped because they don't have that experience, that World Cup experience, because this is the first World Cup that they've qualified in over 30 years. So I think going into it, I did expect them to at least get a win out of one game, get a tie out of another, and be on the edge of qualifying for the round of 16. Unfortunately, it seemed that the occasion was just a little bit too much for them, and they weren't clinical enough, and it speaks volumes to that statement when you look at the Belgium game, and I believe Alphonso Davies misses the penalty to go 1-0 up on Belgium, and then they lose 1-0, and the rest is kind of a downhill tumble from there.
It really was. Leading up to this one, they beat Qatar 2-0. They lost to Uruguay 2-0. They drew Bahrain 2-2, but then they beat Japan on the 17th of November 2-1. And again, you don't know how they approached it and things, but they won the CONCACAF qualification process, and they're on a good run, but it didn't come together at all. They just dismantled by Croatia 4-1, and then losing to Morocco on the last match of the group stages 2-1 left a bitter taste in their mouth for sure. But we'll have to see. Clearly, they are, a real threat within CONCACAF, and I think they're only going to continue to have better players. Personally, I blame Nike. If you know, you know. Because they wouldn't give him a new kit for the World Cup.
I would agree with that. That's very poor. Very poor, because they were the only country that didn't get a new kit for the World Cup.
That's how they had it set up, because they weren't expecting to make it to the World Cup.
But still, surely there was a team that didn't make it,
but had that clause,
that had the clause to have a jersey created, and they could have just shifted the colors.
Well, yeah, we know Nike loves a template kit.
Yeah,
England and U.S. have identical jerseys.
This is true. I mean, it could be worse. You could be Belgium and wearing the Fire Flames kit that they're wearing.
The Guy Fieri kit?
I mean, oh, goodness gracious. That is absolutely atrocious. I was watching that game. When did Belgium play? Yesterday?
Yeah.
I was watching that game, and I saw maybe 5 or 6 players had their tape all the way up the Flames. Just
it was on their socks?
On their socks, because they were, I don't know if it was a thing like they didn't want people to see the Flames because it was so ugly. I mean, the Flames on the sleeves, the Flames on the socks, it was just too much for me.
I mean, it's a parody kit.
I would not be happy if I was Kevin De Bruyne wearing that kit, but.
I mean, it's bad.
It is. Very bad. Look good, feel good, play good, and going out in that kit, I'm not sure that players feel good about what they're wearing.
Their pre-match jersey is like a Picasso piece.
Yeah, very different.
Why does Adidas not like the Belgians?
I don't know. It's an interesting one.
I'm trying to see if I can find their socks here too, but. Anyways, I saw the Flames too. They did have some distractions. Alphonso Davies was a late ad, with his hamstring. He looked like he held up all right. Then there's some image rights where he didn't want Nike using his image. There's just a lot that went around them. You had their coach said in the middle of the tournament, we're going to go F Croatia.
Also, from watching the entire interview, a lot of that was taken out of context by The Athletic. Because it wasn't we're going to go F Croatia. It was now we need to go F Croatia. Do you understand after losing their second game,
sure.
It was now we need to go F Croatia.
Yeah.
Not we're going to F Croatia.
Sure. Love an inflammatory headline, right? Athletic is a subscription business. They need their $5 a month to keep the lights on.
Absolutely.
But to your point, it's still a bulletin board quote nonetheless.
Agreed.
So I would say we got to see a lot of different things that Canada had to navigate, and it was yep, welcome to the World Cup.
Yes.
Life isn't simple. You guys aren't used to this. You have to figure some things out along the way that they probably wish they didn't have to.
Agreed. A lot of being such a young team, being such an inexperienced team at that level with all of the noise going on around you, it just seemed to have taken its toll, and unfortunately, they did not advance. They did not get a point, and I hope that we will see them back in the World Cup in 4 years.
I mean, at least they scored 2 goals. I was trying to think. I mean, Qatar, they scored 1. So, they're not that bad. Group G, which was Brazil, Cameroon, Serbia, and Switzerland. We have obviously talked about how we thought Brazil were the favorites after kind of match day one, essentially.
Yeah.
They walked the group with 6 points. They played a second-string team start to finish tonight. Not a bad second-string team.
No,
but
not at all.
They played with zero energy, zero excitement.
Well, I think that they knew that they were through and they could coast through this game. The results didn't really matter. They weren't going to lose the group. They weren't going to not advance. They were very comfortable. They were complacent, and I think that showed. Yeah.
Second place was Switzerland on 6 points. Cameroon in third with 4 points, and Serbia in fourth with 1 point. The only ways Brazil could have lost was potentially on goal difference, right? So they were +2, Switzerland was +1. They had a wild game with Serbia. It was 3-2, back and forth. It was like punch for punch. The announcer was talking about how Shaqiri did like this provocative gesture last time they played. It was like an Albanian gesture, really, just rattled the Serbian players. And I can tell you again, there was no love lost in this one again today. But it was absolutely punch for punch in this one, and Serbia ended up going through. Cameroon needed a result. They got their 3 points, but it didn't matter because Switzerland had already, pulled the bag on that one.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I was unable to watch the Serbia-Switzerland game, but I kept getting the score updates, and it looked like a heck of a game. However, we kind of expected one of those two teams to advance with Brazil, and that's really how it played out. So,
last group, Group H, you had Ghana, Uruguay, South Korea, Portugal. Portugal going through, as I think we would expect, on 6 points. South Korea in second on 4 points. Uruguay on third on 4 points. I think, again, we're coin flip between those two teams who's going to go through. Ghana, unfortunately, getting the fourth spot on that one on 3 points. But again, this just goes to show you there's not too many groups where
out and out winners.
Yeah, I mean we have no team with 9 points.
No.
2 teams with 7, a bunch with 6, 3 teams with 7, a bunch with 6. But again, there.
No out and out.
Qatar had 0
favorite.
points. Canada had 0 points. Other than that, everybody else had points. The group stage was competitive.
It was. It was very competitive, and it was very entertaining. I think that speaks volumes to how far countries outside of the top 20, top 25 have come in terms of depth, in terms of quality. For no team in this tournament so far to have 9 points in the group stage, that speaks volumes to the depth. And like we touched on, even though Canada did not have a single point, every game that they played in was competitive, and they had their chances and unfortunately did not take them.
Yeah, I mean Croatia beat them 4-1.
Yes.
Things go a different way though.
But if they take their chances early in that game, it's a completely different game.
Yeah. So as we advance, unfortunately, it looks like only one African team is going to advance. You've only got, one team from CONCACAF since both Canada and Mexico are out, and I didn't see any of the Central American teams in. So, again, we're dominated by, surprise, Europe and South America.
Yes.
And look, Asia, they got 3 teams through because I think Australia counts is the Asia group. I should take that back. Morocco advanced. They're Northern Africa.
Yes.
So 2 teams. So 2 out of the 4. So it's an interesting split on kind of how it went through. I think the biggest result from the tournament is going to be the Spain one, right? So as far as who won biggest in this tournament, Spain winning 7-0 was the result of the tournament.
Yeah, it was a very entertaining game. Obviously, they dominated, and unfortunately for Costa Rica, they took 7 in their first game, and I think that kind of just set the tone for their remaining 2 games, and unfortunately, they weren't able to overcome that 7-0.
They had the wildest games, even Germany.
Yeah,
I mean that group was just electric.
It was very entertaining, very electric, and I'm sure FIFA and Fox were loving the viewership ratings on those games.
Yeah, exactly. I was trying to look quick who had like the most 0-0 like results, but there was a lot. Again, there's a lot of you got to play the tournament in this perspective.
Absolutely.
You know, we talked about Brazil. They lost 1-0, even though Cameroon got a red card today, but they didn't have to do anything to advance. So they didn't do anything to advance, right? You want to keep your fitness levels as high as possible. Isn't it a bit of a balance? So like, if you're the B team for Brazil and you finally get 90 minutes to just go out there and show your thing, like, I guess how much is it a balance of trying to say, look what I can do, I can score, I can be involved, we can create, you know, you want to train at a high level so you play at a high level, where today they just kind of went through the paces.
Yeah, I think that when you're involved in a team like Brazil, involved in a team, well, you could be involved in any team. I think you know as a player that there are players maybe in the same position or in other positions that either are going to play just because they are who they are. So you look at Brazil, you have a Neymar. He's going to play. If he's in form, if he's not in form, he's going to play. And then you have players that are maybe like a coach's favorite. And the coach is going to play them because he likes what they bring. He likes how they play. He likes, you know, whatever it is about them that they bring to the table, they're going to play because of these reasons. And, you know, unfortunately, when you're in tournaments like this, that is, you know, kind of how it goes, unfortunately. You know, I've been there in terms of Olympic qualifying and, you know, Ethan Horvath being given the nod over me. And at the time, I don't believe he was playing. I was playing for MK Dons. And it was just one of those things where Andy Herzog, the head coach, liked Ethan. And, you know, Ethan played well. It's not like Ethan put a foot wrong. But I look at the situation and I see, okay, well, I'm playing and he's not. Why am I not playing in the qualifying games? And, you know, you can look at all these situations and different scenarios and as a player and think, why? But at the end of the day, it's down to the coach. It's down to the coaching staff to make those decisions. And, you know, for Brazil, I think that they kind of know that they have a set 11 and on the day, if it's the World Cup final, those 11 are playing regardless of how well you do in a group stage game. That does not matter.
Yeah, definitely see that for sure. So I think we all know that, or I think we all agree that Qatar is the worst team in the tournament.
Yeah.
And we're not even saying that to kick them while they're down. Like,
No,
objectively,
not at all. Objectively,
the
yeah.
worst.
Yes.
The best, though. The best in group stages, because, again, there's 3 teams on 7 points. Do we say, like Brazil, they pretty much threw the game today, so they only have 6 points. Are they still considered one of the best teams in group stage?
I believe so.
Or is there someone sneaky like England who has 7 points and a +7 goal difference? Netherlands has 7 points with +4 goal difference. And then Morocco, the sneaky third team with 7 points and +3 goal difference.
If you're going to go off that logic, Morocco's going to make it to the semifinals. At least to the quarters.
That's what I'm asking. Portugal were on 6 points, but they lost the game.
I think it's too early to tell. My gut instinct tells me that Brazil and Portugal will go a very long way. You have great players on both teams in terms of superstar as well as depth. And then you look at a team like the Dutch, you look at a team like England, I think that they're both going to be very competitive as the tournament continues as well. You know, as an American, that's obviously very tough to say because I hope that the U.S. wins on Saturday. However, I think it's going to be one heck of a game, and it's going to be a grind for what is the second youngest team in the World Cup in the U.S. and the experience that the Dutch will bring to this game with Virgil van Dijk at the back, with, you know, statistically one of the best goal scorers in the tournament right now in Cody, what's his name?
Gakpo?
Gakpo.
Striker?
Cody Gakpo. It's going to be a difficult test for the U.S., and we'll see how it goes.
So Ghana was actually the youngest team at the World Cup.
Ghana.
I had to look that up because I never had heard.
Interesting. I did not know that.
24.73 years old.
And how old was the U.S.?
25.15.
Interesting.
Spain
That's
the
Tim.
next one.
That's Tim bringing them up. Tim Ream.
Well,
boy.
And so they have the youngest player for everyone too. Joe Scully is the youngest player for the U.S. He's born in 2002.
That is
actually like
incredible.
it looks like December 31st, so he might as well be 2003.
Wow.
But otherwise, you got a bunch of 04s in here.
Yeah.
They're the youngest players at the tournament. So
that's absolutely incredible to think about.
Ghana, United States of America, Spain, Ecuador, Cameroon, Senegal, Morocco, Wales, England. And so the U.S. is advanced, Spain is advanced, Senegal is advanced, Morocco is advanced, England's advanced. So 5 of the 8, you know, have gone on, which I think is pretty interesting.
Yeah, very interesting, and I think it tells a lot about the direction that the game is going. And if you find the right young player, it's really going to do you as a country well. It's going to do you as a club well. I mean, you look in the
De
MLS.
Bruyne is pissed.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, we
Yeah.
should have gone young.
What are we doing?
He's like, I've got the pass. Just put the legs in front of me,
Yeah.
and we're good.
Yes. But I mean, you look at teams like a Leeds, very young. You look at a team like the New York Red Bull, historically a very young team, and they always compete. And there are certain other teams throughout Europe that are always young. Southampton, for the longest time, would bring players through the academy, and they turned into a selling club. I don't believe they're as young as they used to be, but they competed with young players, and it speaks volumes to the direction that the game is going.
So some of the mosts of the group stage, and if you're a striker and you want the golden boot, you need to bag goals in the group stage.
You do.
So Alvaro Morata has 3. Cody Gakpo, as you just talked about, has 3. Enter Valencia has 3. Kylian Mbappe 3, and Rashford all have 3.
Interesting.
Unfortunately, Valencia is the only one that will be out at this point, which means 4 out of the 5 golden boot people are still in it. That doesn't mean someone can't come and overtake them, but you need a lead. You want to try to hold on to the lead, which is what we want to see. Gakpo scored 1 in each game. We talked about that as well. Rashford, I think he's a sneaky one that he has 3.
I think he is, and I think he's played himself into the starting 11 for this weekend.
I think you're probably right. Mbappe has 3, could have had more. And then Morata, as a Chelsea fan, I don't have much for him. Most assists, Harry Kane with 3.
That does
No one
not
else.
surprise me, honestly.
Isn't he a striker?
He is a striker, but he's a new school striker. We're going to call it new school. If you watch him play for Tottenham, he's a link up player. Yes, he scores goals. He is clinical in front of the net. However, he does a lot of hold up play. He lays the ball off. He gets into areas in the channels because he makes those selfless runs and creates for other players. And I think that when he makes those runs in behind and he gets wide into the channels, it allows and opens the space for players like Sterling, for players like Phil Foden coming
Apparently
in.
Rashford
Coming in, exactly, yes. And even the midfielders and Jude Bellingham and maybe even a Declan Rice in the knockout round.
Well, we'll have to see. He's on 3 as it stands. Zivkovic, Serbian, is on 2. Everyone else is on 2. So Zivkovic, Bruno Fernandes, Davy Klaassen, Dusan Tadic, shout out Southampton,
Yeah, sure.
Ivan Perisic, Jordi Alba, Teo Hernandez, the last 2 being defenders as well. So that's kind of interesting. Saudi Arabia, they had the most yellow cards.
Fantastic.
We only had 2 red cards, and Vincent Abubakar got his on the last game of the last day today against Brazil. He got a straight red. The other one
in stoppage time, no? Was that in stoppage?
It might have been. I can double check, but the other one is fellow goalkeepers union Wayne Hennessy.
Yeah, that was a tough red card to take. Opened the door for the Leicester City goalkeeper Danny Ward, but not his best decision. I'm sure he's quite upset with himself over that one.
Yeah. Boubacar was 90 plus 3, so you're right.
There you go.
Going out in a bang.
Attaboy.
All right, bracket, and then we're out. So right at the top of the bracket, it's Netherlands and USA. Then the winner of that game will play the winner of Argentina, Australia. So those are those 4 teams paired together. Then the next 4 would be Japan versus Croatia. It gave me a TBD. We know who is at it at this point. Let's see if they filled it in. All right, there we go. Brazil versus South Korea. So Japan and Croatia. Winner plays Brazil, South Korea. The next group is France versus Poland. The winner of that one will play England versus Senegal. Then the last group of 4 is Morocco versus Spain and Portugal versus Switzerland.
All right, so let's run through that again.
Netherlands, USA.
And we're going to pick our winners. Okay?
Yeah.
Just so it's on camera and we can go back and forth.
For show.
Okay.
Obviously, I'm saying the U.S., but
Okay.
It sounds like you're going to go Netherlands.
I'm going to go with the Netherlands.
You can think with your head. I'm going to think with my heart. Argentina, Australia. It's been fun at Australia, but Argentina's going
I
to
would
move
agree. Argentina.
on. All right, so Argentina, U.S. in the next round. Japan versus Croatia.
This is going to shock some people. I'm going to go with
Croatia-
Japan.
Okay, Croatia love possession.
They did.
Japan hate possession. They are going to be a match for each other.
Yes, they are. And I think Japan is going to shock the world. And they're going to... They've already shocked the world and made history by winning 2 group games, which is the first time they've ever done that. I think that the ball keeps rolling, and they're going to shock Croatia and advance to the round of 8? No, to the quarterfinals.
Yeah,
Why did I
same
say
thing.
that? Yeah,
Same.
same thing, but...
I'll go with Croatia just because I think that they've shown enough and they are experienced. So we'll split on that
They
one.
are very experienced.
Yep. Brazil and South Korea. South Korea barely got it done
they
to get through.
snuck by.
Again, minus Neymar's ankle, Brazil are fine. They've been unscathed. They got to rest their entire starting 11.
Yes.
They're going to be fresh. Adios, South Korea.
I would agree. It pains me to say that, but because I think South Korea is very good. However, I think Brazil takes care of business.
They showed a ton of heart and spirit,
They did.
I would say, today. As they tried to get to the knockout rounds, playing against Portugal. They got their 2-1 result. But, yeah, I
Don't see it happening.
Not against Brazil. I got to
No.
stick with my favorites. France and Poland. Poland have scored next to nothing. Lewandowski has not really been there. The biggest headline of Poland has been Szczesny saving 2 penalties.
That's true. He's kept them in this tournament.
If he wouldn't have saved those pens, they go out on goal difference.
Absolutely. So it's an easy answer, I think, for both of us.
He needs a key to
France.
the city.
yeah, that is also the answer. Yes, key to the city, key to the country.
France advancing on that one.
Yes.
England, Senegal, as much as I think we would love to keep the African party going, England, like we said, are doing the most professional job with this one. Senegal maybe struggling to keep clean sheets a little bit. Goals aren't as free-flowing as they are for England. Again, 7 points plus 7 goal difference.
Yeah, England advances, not just because they're better, but because Senegal can't seem to show up to media day. Either. So
also getting fined for that.
That will also play a factor.
Is that another shot at the Athletic you're taking?
It is.
Oh, well, their headline writers are top class, as if they're baiting that Senegal were going to get kicked out for not showing up to media day.
That is exactly why I clicked into it, because I was like, oh, yeah, they're going to get eliminated for some reason. And
It'd be amazing. It's the most arbitrary thing ever.
Yeah, it was, okay, this is nothing.
All right, Morocco, Spain. If there is an African dream, it is here between Morocco and Spain.
I just don't see it happening. I'm gonna take Spain, and I'm gonna take Spain handsomely in this one.
I mean, Spain just lost to Japan.
I understand that.
They drew Germany and they pumped Costa Rica.
Yeah, I think it's another. I shouldn't say another Costa Rica victory, but I think it's 3. I think it's 3 or 4-1.
Morocco are on
Spain.
7 points.
I don't care.
Oy.
I think Spain pull it out, and they're gonna burn through this stage.
Morocco, we're in the group with Croatia, Belgium, Canada. So
Exactly.
That's interesting to me.
Not the greatest group.
Like, I'm gonna say Spain but not as emphatically as you.
Okay.
I'm going capital S, not capital pain like you are.
Okay.
Last one, Portugal,
Great play on
Switzerland. The Swiss, they got through pretty unscathed. Portugal just lost the last game today. You just mentioned them being in some of your favorites, so I'm assuming that you're going to have them going on over Xherdan Shaqiri of the Chicago Fire's Switzerland.
Yes, I think I'm going to take the Saudi Arabian Cristiano Ronaldo over Chicago Fire's.
That's right.
Yeah.
Your reference to his potential $200 million a year contract in Saudi Arabia.
Incredible.
So Portugal advancing through there. That'll be interesting because you're going to have the Netherlands or U.S. between us versus Argentina, Japan or Croatia versus Brazil, France versus England. That'll be a huge one in the quarters.
Big game.
And then most likely Spain versus Portugal, another big one. So the bottom of the bracket is really stacked. I mean, it's going to come down to the U.S. and Netherlands. Can either of them upset Argentina? Then again, is it potentially Argentina and Brazil in the round of 4 against one of the European countries, potentially of France, England, Spain, or Portugal? This is it. It's going to get down really quickly to the final 4 teams, and you're going to have probably 2 South American teams and 2 European teams.
Yep. That's the way it looks. Unfortunately, Alexi Lawless, your bracket is not going to be correct because he has the U.S. advancing to the final versus Brazil.
He gets paid to say dumb things, Cody. You and
That is true. That is true.
Don't get paid to say anything, so that's why we actually say what we think.
Exactly.
All right. Well, anyways, that is it. The group stage is done. We previewed the knockout rounds. Let us know. Did we miss a dark horse? Who do you think was really the standout of the tournament? Again, Morocco and Netherlands sneaking in there, but I think just purely points and everything, like England did the business, and no one's even thinking about them. So, anyways, we'll be back. Hope the U.S. win on Saturday. Got to wake up early to watch that one.
8 a.m.?
9 a.m.
9 a.m.
Not too early. We'll be
Not
at
too
Brits.
early.
Running back. Anyways, we're out. Hope you enjoyed it. Share with a friend. We'll be back shortly after the round of 16 is over. Take care.